could get all of the people that are holding signs of our beloveds to come around me, to make their way through the crowd, so that we can say her name, that would be beautiful. Thank you. For everyone that's here, just a couple matters of business. If the LED lights that you got, if you can be sure to put them in this bucket at my foot before you leave, please. We don't have a lot of money, and we would appreciate that. Before you leave, just drop it. Come say hi to me. I'll give you a hug, and you can drop your candle in the bucket. So, 18 of my sisters have been murdered in cold blood in this country. And I think it's important for us to call out the evils at work that contributed to their deaths. While, of course, I will always hold people accountable for their actions, I know that to a large degree, we are all products of the world that we live in. And to say that someone undervalued a trans woman of color is not just to say that they have a personal flaw and that there is something wrong with them. The system in which we all live tells all of us that that is perfectly okay. We live under imperialist, capitalist, white supremacist patriarchy that expects all of us to be cis, and if we are not, they have special repercussions for us, especially when our trans identities intersect with racial identities that do not align themselves with proper white supremacy. Yes. That is why my sisters are dead now. So, we want to honor all of them and say their names. And as I call the names out, if my friend Anna, I love you dearly. My sister Anna, please give Anna a round of applause. She'll come up to you, and if you would please read the bio of one of the women that has been taken from us, that would be fantastic. Lamia Beard. Right here. Please do. Right here. The mic. If you could say her name and read her bio.
Lamia Beard of Norfolk, Virginia, was 30 years old and she loved to sing. Her favorite singer was Beyonce. She spoke fluent French and she loved to read. She was in the chorus in high school and people would pay her to sing at funerals and weddings. Lamia was found mortally wounded from a gunshot wound on January 17th, and her sister has no idea why anyone would want to hurt her.
Say her name, Lamia Beard. Say her name,
Lamia Beard.
Say her name,
Lamia Beard.
If you could light her candle, sis. Thank you. Keisha Blige. Keisha Blige.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could read her bio.
Keisha Blige of Montgomery, Illinois, was a 33-year-old and had a motto, live your life, no matter what anybody says. Although she often worked 2 or 3 jobs, she was known for her generosity and her willingness to be there for the people she cared about, often taking in friends, family members, and acquaintances that didn't have anywhere to stay. And on March 7th, Blige was shot in the shoulder while driving and crashed her navy blue car after attempting to drive herself to the hospital. Police still have to make an arrest, but they say they do not know because the shooting was not random.
Keisha Blige. Say her name.
Keisha Blige!
Say her name.
Keisha Blige!
Say her name.
Keisha Blige!
Candace
Let me
Capri.
light her candle. Let me light Keisha's candle.
Thank you. Candace Capri. Hi. Please read her bio.
Candace Capri, 35, of Phoenix, Arizona, enjoyed spending time with others and going out. Her friends and family variously describes her as loving, kind-hearted, and a goddess. She was slain on August 12th, possibly during an attempt to intervene in a domestic dispute.
Candace Capri. Say her name.
Candace Capri!
Say her name.
Candace Capri!
Say her name.
Candace Capri!
Will you please light Candace's candle? Thank you. London Chanel. Will you please read London's bio?
London Chanel of Victoria, Texas, was 21 years old and hardly ever frowned. Friends remember. She always had a smile on her face and her laughter was infectious. She recently reconnected with her mother, who initially struggled to support her transition. She was planning to move back home before she was stabbed to death, May 18th.
London Chanel. Say her name.
London Chanel!
Say her name.
London Chanel!
Say her name.
London Chanel!
Thank you. India Clark.
India Clark, 25, of Tampa, Florida, was into all things beauty and makeup and was studying to become a cosmetologist. Her body was discovered on the morning of July 21st. She had been shot in the head. Her last words to her mom and dad were, "Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you." A county spokesman insisted on referring to her as a man in a dress and refused to categorize her as transgender.
India Clark. Say her name.
India Clark!
Say her name.
India Clark!
Say her name.
India Clark!
Keep going. Taja de Jesus. Oh. You can use yours if you want.
It's beautiful.
Taja de Jesus was 36 years old, an active member of her Bayview, California church, a food pantry volunteer and a trans activist. She got her first job when she was 15 so she could earn enough money to buy a stereo to play the music that she loved and was passionate about. She was found stabbed to death on February 1st in a stairwell.
Taja de Jesus. Say her name.
Taja de Jesus!
Say her name.
Taja de Jesus!
Say her name.
Taja de Jesus!
Thank you, sis. Keep going. Tamara Dominguez.
Tamara Dominguez, 36, of Kansas City, Missouri, came to the United States 7 years ago from Veracruz, Mexico, to escape discrimination against transgender individuals. She was attending classes to learn English in hopes of one day becoming a nurse. She was hit by a truck early Saturday morning and then driven over by that truck again and again.
Tamara Dominguez. Say her name.
Tamara Dominguez!
Say her name.
Tamara Dominguez!
Say her name.
Tamara Dominguez!
Will you please light her candle? Poppy Edwards. See.
Poppy Edwards of Louisville, Kentucky was just 20 years old and loved hip-hop, the Bad Girls Club, and the Real Housewives franchise. She loved hanging out with her friends in ball culture. On January 9th, she was ambushed in her hotel hallway, shot dead by a man who became enraged when she learned that she was trans. Quote, "As far as I'm concerned, that was a man that was shot dead. It was always a man." That's a quote from the policeman in a BuzzFeed article from January 28th. Poppy Edwards.
Poppy Edwards. Say her name!
Poppy Edwards!
Say her name!
Poppy Edwards!
Say her name!
Poppy Edwards!
Casey Haggard.
Casey Haggard from Visalia, California, was 66 years old, retired and a graduate of Chapman University. She worked as a security guard and later as a legal marketer for Legal Shield. In the months before her death, she was organizing safe places for trans women to meet on Facebook. She was stabbed to death on July 23rd. Haggard remained on the street for 20 minutes before a passerby called paramedics.
Casey Haggard. Say her name!
Casey Haggard!
Say her name!
Casey Haggard!
Say her name!
Casey Haggard!
Keep going. You see, this is like, you see how long this is taking? Walk with that. Maya Hall.
Maya Hall, 27, of Baltimore, Maryland, was a sweet jokester who let others stay in her motel room when she had one, enjoying dressing in skirts and kidding with her friends. A lot of people envied her, a friend says. Maya was killed and a friend injured after officers opened fire on the pair after they allegedly crashed into a guard post at the National Security Agency.
Maya Hall. Say her name!
Maya Hall!
Say her name!
Maya Hall!
Say her name!
Maya Hall!
Amber Monroe.
Amber Monroe was 20 years old and from Detroit, Michigan. She was outgoing, charismatic, and loved to dance. She strived to be employed and showed interest in doing HIV work. On the morning of August 8th, she was shot to death in a park. She had previously been shot and survived on 2 separate occasions. Amber Monroe.
Amber Monroe. Say her name.
Amber Monroe!
Say her name.
Amber Monroe!
Say her name.
Amber Monroe!
Yasmin Vash Payne.
Yasmin Vash Payne, 33, of Los Angeles, was found on the morning of January 31st in her apartment's kitchen, dead of multiple stab wounds. Latina transgender activist Bambi Salcedo organized a vigil for her where supporters held signs saying "No transphobia in the Valley, basta no más muertes." I know that some of you are thinking tomorrow is Super Bowl, Salcedo posted on Facebook before the vigil, and that will be your excuse for not to come and demand our sisters to stop being murdered.
Yasmin Vash Payne. Say her name.
Yasmin Vash Payne!
Say her name.
Yasmin Vash Payne!
Say her name.
Yasmin Vash Payne!
Penny Proud.
Penny Proud of New Orleans was a 21-year-old. She belonged to Breakout, an organization working to improve access to workforce/GED programs for LGBTQ young youth in New Orleans. She was fatally shot on February 10th by an unidentified assailant, likely in the middle of a robbery.
Penny Proud. Say her name.
Penny Proud.
Say her name.
Penny Proud.
Say her name.
Penny Proud.
Christina Gomez.
Christina Gomez Reinwald of Miami was a 46-year-old and an accomplished performer in the Miami House Scenes Balls. She had a passion for flamenco music and always found a way to include feathers into her performances. She took a particular interest in mentoring young people, many of whom had been rejected by or chosen to leave their birth families, and helped them become comfortable with their identities and who they wanted to be. She was found stabbed to death in her home on February 15th.
Christina Gomez. Say her name.
Christina Gomez.
Reinwald.
Christina Gomez. Christina Gomez Reinwald.
Thank you. Sade Shula.
Sade Schuler, 22, of Dallas, Texas, was killed by a gunshot. Her badly decomposed body was discovered on July 29th in a vacant field. Police continued to misgender her, complicating efforts to solve her murder, and a vigil planned in her honor was canceled after her family requested time to process and understand, quote, how Sade gendered themselves fully.
Sade Shula. Say her name.
Sade Schuler.
Say her name.
Sade Schuler.
Say her name.
Sade Schuler.
Ty Underwood. Ty Underwood.
Ty Underwood of North Tyler, Texas, was 24 years old. She was a dedicated nursing assistant who wanted to return to school to further her career. She had recently been accepted into and was planning to attend a nursing program. On January 26th, officers found Ty dead in her vehicle from multiple gunshot wounds. Ty Underwood. Say her name.
Ty Underwood.
Say her name.
Ty Underwood.
Say her name.
Ty Underwood.
Thank you. Alicia Walker.
Here.
Alicia.
Alicia Walker. Alicia was 20 years old. She lived in Salisbury, North Carolina. She always kept a smile on her face, regardless of how she felt. A friend remembers that she once almost wrecked her car because she was driving down the street, saw him, and didn't want to pass without seeing her wave. She was missing for almost a year before her body was discovered in a crude grave in Johnson County, North Carolina. Alicia Walker.
Say her name.
Alicia Walker.
Say her name.
Alicia Walker.
Say her name.
Alicia Walker.
Mercedes Williamson.
Mercedes Williamson was only 17 years old and an aspiring cosmetologist who enjoyed spending time outdoors. She was estranged from her Mississippi birth family, so she moved alone to Alabama to stay with a friend who loved her like a daughter. She was stabbed to death on May 30th in Rocky Creek, Alabama, and buried in a shallow grave. Mercedes Williamson.
Say her name.
Mercedes Williamson.
Say her name.
Mercedes Williamson.
Say her name.
Mercedes Williamson.
God, I love y'all. Oh. Thank you very much. I gotta keep this because these are thank yous. Hi. Thank you. So, I want y'all to really pay attention to how long it took to get through all of these names. And yes, we're gonna say her name. And we know that we're gonna have to keep saying it, and we're gonna have to keep doing this, because it's moments like this that make me realize that there is some potential. I was talking to some friends today who helped me put this together. And if we could please get a round of applause for the two organizations that helped bring this together. Trans Unity and Don't Shoot Portland. I was telling them that if someone would have told me years ago that I would see this day, that there would be hundreds of people standing around me who are honoring the lives of my sisters, of trans women, most of whom are Black trans women, and Black Lives Matter! 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 Now, I want y'all to know we're all here, and I know that everyone here is not necessarily down with the Black Lives Matter movement, and I don't want to act like you're not here. When people deploy All Lives Matter as a correction for Black Lives Matter, which is specifically geared to be a way to correct and hopefully one day dismantle white supremacy and anti-Black racism. Everyone that is in this movement with me, Black Lives Matter Portland and Don't Shoot Portland are both here when we say that Black Lives Matter. We know, we all know, trust me, that all lives matter. Who does not know that though is the police, is the government, and the corporations that they both take their directives from. They do not think that Black Lives Matter. So we assert it over and over again as an intervention. Please tell all of your friends that. It is important to know. I also want to say, I know that two of the women that are on the pictures and that are on the list are white women. And I want to honor them, and we said their names. And I also want us to think about that if the trans population mirrors the general population, 13% of trans women are Black. But please pay attention to the murders that have occurred and how many of them are Black versus 13%, because it's not 13%. So this is why we lift them up, and this was advertised as a vigil for trans women of color. We are in a state of emergency right now. So we appreciate it when everyone understands that and honors that. And on that note, if somebody would have told me that you all would be here, and I appreciate everybody that's here, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I especially appreciate it because if somebody would have told me years ago, I'm 28 years old, I started when I was 16, if someone would have told me that 12 years from now, people will be honoring your sisters who get killed, I would have lost that bet. When I came into the life, as we call it, I immediately understood that I would forever be thought of as a pariah, as someone who everybody hates, as someone who will be forever marginalized, no matter what I did, because of who I was. And I needed to do it so badly that I ate that anyway and moved on with my life. So all these years later, that my sisters are being honored by all of you, it looks like a brand new day. And we have a lot of work to do still. Because I thank you all for being here, and they're still killing us. So I have a few people that I need to thank, and then we're actually going to start a speak out. And fair warning, if anybody here says something that is not in support of trans women, specifically black trans women, someone will tap you on your shoulder. And we will ask you to say what you want to say privately and outside the circle. All right. We want to start tonight by expressing our gratitude to the Corey Murphy, Helmcap, and Deborah Porter with Pride Northwest, Nancy Hack and Gianna Razzini with Basic Rights Oregon, along with the Q Center. Putting together an event of this size with 48 hours of lead time would not have been possible without the financial and emotional support of these folks. We recognize ally, also my preference, accomplice, as an action word, and are elated to see these folks validating their talk. Again, my name is Alyssa Pagan, and I am a badass black Puerto Rican trans woman. Somebody else, please get on this bullhorn. You got something to say?
He has.
Okay, come.
I haven't ever spoken on the bullhorn. This is just an ask for everyone here, especially the men. We live in a society that encourages us to be independent. We live in a society that encourages us to be independent, strong, loud, rambunctious, even violent. Try something else. Try being dependent. Try being weak. Try being vulnerable. Try being peaceful. Try caring about other people instead of not giving a rat's ass. And if you do that, probably we'll have to honor fewer of these lives and vigils.
Thank you. Professor Rayford, don't shoot Portland. This is a lady shutting shit down, fighting for our lives, our basic humanity. She wrote. Say what you gotta say.
I was just gonna say that I clicked on, I made the names hashtags on the event pages, and then I clicked on each one, and I went to their Facebooks, and I read every post from all the people that miss them and love them. And then I went through their pictures, and I liked every picture, and I looked at all their transitions, all their difficulties, all their poems and quotes and stuff like that. Those are our babies, y'all. Like, for real, they belong to us. And it's not without humanity that somebody took their lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's in all of us, then we have to recognize it, and we gotta call that shit out, because it's not fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? People losing their babies when they realizing who their child is, and that's when they're getting happy. Like, a lot of them, like Alicia, her family knew who she was, and they were trying to figure it out. And that was the point. They were worrying about how to make it work. And then she's gone. Like, she never got to enjoy understanding and being accepted by her family that loved her. I told Alyssa and I told Devin, I said, whatever we do from this point on, it ain't just about vigils and coming out. We got to figure out how to provide support for these families, because the kids, they can have somebody like us working with them to work this out with their families. The families are probably just as confused, but I don't think there's systems out there that work with families to go through this. And if they have family support, then people won't think that they're disposable. Yeah. They need us. They need family fucking support so that people don't think that they're disposable. Yeah. Do something about it every day.
Yes. You want to use yours? Yeah. Okay. Yes, yes. Okay, I got you. Oh, he's good. Yeah.
My name is Anna. I've been a trans woman for 3 years. Every day I have a thought that I don't really talk about, and I've never talked about it in this public of a forum. But I wonder every day if today will be the day. And I know that all trans women here think that. All the time it's in the back of our heads. Is this going to be my day? And if it is my day, will it be painless or will it be painful? We can cry a million tears. We could cry a flood for our sisters who have died at the hands of violence. But I really don't think it's enough. I think what we need to do, in all honesty, is if you love the oppressed, you need to join an organization fighting for the oppressed. It's not enough to just cry when we're killed. You have to organize to build a new society. All these ideas that target us with violence are the direct product of this violent society. So this violent society must be changed so that its violent ideas will fade away in time, and we will have in its place a beautiful new world where each of us can blossom to our fullest potential and not live in fear and think, will today be my day? Join an organization.
Thank you.
Oh, great. All right. So, hey everybody, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I'm technically don't shoot Portland, but I support any cause that's doing something positive for the community.
Speak up, please.
Oh, sorry. It's so funny, I'm usually really loud. So, yesterday, I was thinking about all of the LGBTQ people that were being murdered, and when I saw the post about trans women. And then I was also speaking about all of the black people that are being murdered every day. Then I was thinking about sexism, and I thought to myself, being black, LGBTQ, and a woman has to be the hardest thing in this effed up world that we live in.
Thank you.
So it's amazing to see Don't Shoot, Black Lives Matter, and all the other community organizations working together. And I think we need more of that, because the struggle of being black and the struggle of being LGBTQ is the freaking same to me in a lot of ways. We are being hated on consistently, and we can't see just the hatred that is going just towards us, me as a black woman or you as a trans woman. We have to work together. We have to.
Lamara Haynes, my best friend. Okay.
Is this?
You have to turn up the volume. You have to turn up the volume and talk from the inside.
Oh.
Alright.
Okay. Oh God. Hi everybody. I'm Lamara. Nice to meet you all. I'm Alyssa's best friend, but also I'm a person that does other things besides be your best friend. And one of those things is joining organizations. I think is a great call, but I also want everybody to think critically about the organizations that you're joining. If you don't agree with their politics, that isn't an organization that you should join. And you should also think about what you can do. People can start their own organizations, right? You can build something that's also better
while standing in solidarity with other organizations as well. And we keep talking about this violent society that we live in, and yes, it's violent, and it's violent because it's a capitalist society, and I think we really need to name that. All our oppressions are intertwined under capitalism, right? It's inherently violent, it's based on profit, which does not mean that it cares about me as a black woman, as an immigrant, as a first generation, and it does not care about Alyssa based on her identity as a Afro-Latina, Puerto Rican, trans woman. So we need to recognize that. It's capitalism, it's all intertwined, and we need to fuck it up.
Hi everyone, I'm Erica, and I'm a white trans woman. And I just want to talk about tonight. We said out loud, we said read the biographies of, we said these 18 names as a group. We heard them as a group. I think all of you know that there were more than 18 trans women this year who were murdered. Every single time one of the names that we have read gets killed, there is an article, there is a news story that calls them by their dead name, that calls them a man in a dress, that is really, really happy to erase their identity as a trans woman, that is really, really happy to just frame it as a murder of an unnamed black person. And we all know how much the media fucking cares about when a black person is killed in this country. They don't. If you know someone in the community, we need to care for each other is my point. We need to speak out whenever anyone is killed. We need to remember them as they were. Every single time one of us gets killed, they try to erase us. And it's only this community that we have here that keeps us alive in the hearts of everyone around us.
Good evening. My name's Good evening. My name's Leah, and I am a trans woman. I stand here today in solidarity with my trans sisters who have all been murdered so far just this year. We need to organize and do something about this. There's so many others too. This is a genocide going on, and I know a little something about genocide. Being Jewish, and my dad spending several years in the Sobibor death camp in Poland. My family knows something about genocide. This is a genocide going on right here in America. Suicide among trans people, especially trans women. Thousands of us every year. Thousands! Including dozens of children here in Portland Public Schools. I've talked in the last year and a half to 7 Portland Public Schools teachers. They've lost trans students just in the last 3 years. 7 trans students killed here by bullicide in the last 3 years. That's killing. Bullicide is killing. Their names need to be said too. But they didn't get nothing in the newspaper. No recognition. They were killed. Just as my 14-year-old sister was killed for being LGBT. I honor her memory by being my true self. It took me 50 years. But I want to reiterate, this is about black lives. Because black lives do matter.
Black lives matter! 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 Black lives matter!
Anytime somebody says it, we gotta chant it. If you don't like it, I'm not sorry. And if you're leaving, please don't forget to put the LED candle in the bucket. And if anybody else wants something to say, come, Mama. Okay, I love you. I love you. All right, I got this.
Hello everyone, my name is Tequila. I'm sorry, my voice is a little messed up. I shared the same thing when I first came, I started living the life at 19 years old, and I never thought, I would ever have people of different races, different colors, different backgrounds, or anything to stand up for me.
Wait, take your time, take your time. I'm right here. Yeah, it's okay to cry. It's all right.
We love you.
All right, Mom.
About every other year, every year I lose at least 2 friends at least. Half of those are to murders. When someone said, when bullets enter the head and the body, it really happens. It really happens. I mean, honestly, I don't know if one person knows anyone, but I'm telling you, it happens. Where all my friends are getting mainly killed, and where me, myself, and I was shot. It's right on the ground of a music school. There's cameras for the market right across the street at Cincinnati Market, but none of them faces there. Only one of my friends' murders after all these years of my trans have ever been convicted or caught. And I'm just glad, I'm just going to keep this on a positive note, that I know that I never thought in a million years.
That's right.
Anybody would be there.
Yes.
To even remember or astonish who they were or acknowledge that they even existed. And I want to thank you so much. And Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
My name's Natalie. I'm 28. I came out when I was 19. This vigil is not for me. This vigil is for people who are in much, much more danger than I am. The thing to understand, and I want to use this to amplify what has already been said, is that the issues that I have around accessing healthcare, around staying employed, around figuring out how to have some kind of romantic life, all of that will be solved if we take 5 seconds and center all of our activity and center all of our energy around Black and brown trans women. Like, nothing that I face will not be dealt with in that process. So that's why this is how we center this. That's why we talk about this group of people specifically. That's why All Lives Matter doesn't make any sense. That's why we're back to Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. And for that matter, honey.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black trans 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 lives matter!
All right, well, come on. I know you're going to respect this space. I'm not worried. I know you are.
My name is Pastor Finn. I'm with Queering Sacred Spaces, and I'd like to teach you all a song that I think maybe will help. That maybe will help lift some of your hearts, or keep that fire burning in your heart, so that we can keep working together.